my Beanbag Guitar Show. Today I have a very exciting video for you, at least I'm very excited. I have these two absolutely phenomenal guitars. They're pieces of history. I have this ARIA CS350. It's got a rosewood fingerboard, ash body, and this amazing three-piece maple neck. Here it's got the Matsumoto plate, made in Japan at the Matsumoto factory. They were made in sort of the early 80s, and they're most famous for being used in the grunge scene. Kurt Cobain used one on his kind of first main tour after the Bleach album came out, which was their debut album. So if one of the best kind of musicians ever is using this guitar, you know it must have something to it. He used it for like 18 gigs, so it's not like he used it for a short time either. He used it for a long time. The only reason he stopped using it was because he got a Mosrite guitar. This became his number 2 guitar, and then this guitar was eventually destroyed at a concert. And then a security guard apparently liked the pickups so much he then borrowed them for his own guitar. The pickups are Matsumoto kind of, I'm very bad at pronouncing that name, even though I have a lot of Matsumoto guitars. So excuse me if you're Japanese and I'm mispronouncing it. But these pickups, I think they're called MK45s or something. They're supposed to sound like Super Distortions, DiMarzio Super Distortions at the time, which were very coveted pickups, which is another reason this guitar is so great. Personally, I find these pickups to not really be that distortion heavy at all, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. So yeah, fantastic guitar. Now the other guitar I want to show you, excuse me, is this amazing thing here, PEAVEY T60. These were made from 77, I think, so about 85, so a very similar period as the RSES 350. These are American made, which is very unusual to have, you know, a company that isn't Fender or Gibson, an American made company making guitars that were popular. They weren't as popular at the time as they've become now. I mean, they're a very unusual body shape, very futuristic, kind of space agey. I personally love them, and they become so highly collectible because they are so unusual. And I know there's a lot of luthiers out there who are just fascinated by looking and thinking about these guitars. I mean, it has a triangular string tree, it has an aluminium nut, it has a curved truss rod cover, it has this amazing shape to the headstock. It's got hexagonal tuning keys. I mean, from top to bottom, there's literally not a bit of this guitar that isn't kind of groundbreaking or original to itself. It's got these wonderfully, the frets are just so well ingrained into the body of the instrument, with the little nibs on them. It's got this amazing pickup that has, I can't remember what I counted, but it's something like 20 something screws in it. I don't know why it's got so many screws. It's a nightmare to go inside this thing and try and clean it out, which I did the first time I got it, because I always do that with new guitars. God forbid you ever have to repair anything to do with it. It's got these amazing pickups, which epoxy, what's the word? Potted. So instead of wax potted, where you find on most pickups, where they put wax in there to kind of hold everything in place, make sure that the sort of windings on the coil and circuitry remains kind of static. They've got epoxy potted pickups here, which probably means if they break at any point, it's going to be a nightmare to fix them. This one, you see the neck pickup here does have a slight crack at the top. That's kind of just a cover that they put onto the pickup, so it's not actually affecting the sound of the pickup at all. That's kind of the same as they find on Rickenbacker guitars, that top to that pickup there. The pickups themselves sound a bit like humbuckers, but they also sound completely like their own thing. I'll just show you very quickly. They're very punchy. I guess they sound, to me, they sound a bit like lipstick pickups, or possibly yeah, basically a bit like lipstick pickups, very kind of punchy, powerful ones. As you'd expect of kind of an early 80s, late 70s guitar, you know, this is definitely a rock kind of guitar, hard rock guitar, I'd say. I mean, just look at it. I mean, but again, I haven't even finished. I mean, the bridge is fantastic. These knobs, you know, they all have the little PEAVEY logo on it, the kind of P with a kind of triangular shape to it. They're again extremely futuristic. The back of the guitar also has their logo, which is amazing. It has the string through thing here. I'm just in love with this guitar. I don't think I could ever get rid of it just because of how fantastically they're built. And you can still pick them up relatively cheaply at about 750 English squid, which, considering what they are, is just fantastic. I think I got this for 650. Sometimes you see them being sold for like 1,000. I mean, they are creeping up because they are worth it, to be honest. Just fantastic original guitars. They're as heavy as anything. I think they're over 10, I mean not over 10 kg, but oh, I should probably check. Look, I've got a weight thing here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. About 4.5 kilograms, which in pounds, yeah, about 10 pounds, which is insane. I mean, to have guitars that are 10 pounds, I mean, it will do your back in if you take it everywhere, but it is amazing. And the case, I just want to get up and show you the case quickly as well, because that is just amazing too. The fit of it, the fact they have a support for your neck there, this brown felt interior, plastic in the front of it, the kind of stripes here, I love it so much. It's just original. Oh. Oh. The other reason I wanted to shoot these two guitars off against one another is they both have the same control layout, and the control layout they have is the most unique thing in the world. So if I start with the CS350, the way they both work is they have a 3-way toggle switch, perfectly normal, 4 knobs here, that seems perfectly normal, a phase switch, okay, bit out of the norm, but you can find that on some guitars. But the amazing thing about them is instead of having coil split switches to like here and here, as you find on some guitars with this layout, the tone knobs themselves, fully to the right, they're single coils, halfway to the left they become humbuckers, and fully to the left they make a kind of deadened tone sound, as you'd expect from a tone switch. So if I show you just on the neck pickup here, the tone is fully to the right at the moment. Oh, sorry. Fully to the right, and you'll hear a kind of single coil Stratocaster sounds. I mean, this guitar is built very like a Stratocaster. It has similar kind of saddles, it has the bolt-on 4-piece neck. I mean, obviously this neck has 3 pieces of maple to it, which is amazing. But other than that, I mean, it's string through as well, which some Stratocasters don't have. But it does have a slightly stratty sound to it, despite having these humbuckers associated with super distortions. To me, in its bare bones, very stratty. If I turn it to the middle, you'll get the humbucker sound, and this will be a bit heavier. Let's try the bridge. Tone control all the way to the right. This is the single coil. So the middle, get the humbucker sounds. obviously you turn it further to the left, you get like a normal muted tone control. Back to humbucker. It's definitely not supposed to be for yesterday on a grunge guitar. But that's the thing, it doesn't, sorry, last thing, middle position, phase, off. Phase on, which is towards you. Oh, I love the sound of out of phase switches. I always call them phase switches, but technically they're out of phase switches. The only thing about out of phase switches is you'll see there's a definite volume drop, and this is the same on pretty much every guitar that has one of these switches, because you're changing the polarity of the pickups to work against one another. The sound waves are essentially not building on top of one another, so the volume will naturally decrease. I haven't ever seen a guitar that has an out of phase switch with a built-in boost, so that when you flick it into out of phase, it automatically boosts the signal. I would be amazed to see that. I don't know if anyone could tell me if there is a guitar like that that exists, because I'd be very interested. Or if there's a way of designing that yourself in the circuitry. I imagine it's very complicated to do. Because I quite like playing it out of phase. I think it's a really unique sound. And often in the middle of a song, I have a section like this, where I'll suddenly want to go to out of phase, and then flick back. But I find the volume dip annoying, so that's the one thing that's annoying about out of phase switches. But hey. So yeah, overall I'd say this has a really good quality of sound to it. The neck feels really easy to play. I mean, these guitars are even cheaper. They're still only like $350. They were cheap when they came out. They're amazing value for money. You really can't have a better starter guitar compared to a lot of things that are on the market now. This is just 10 times as good. It really deserves to be up there as one of the best guitars you can get. At a low value anyway, at any rate. I will say also, it's also a lot lighter than the PEAVEY. I mean, these have a reputation for being incredibly light. I wouldn't say they're incredibly light. I'd say they're kind of equivalent to a Strat. What we got? Oh, we're on ounces for some reason. 3.4 kg, 7.5 pounds. So it's kind of standard Strat weight to it. 3.4, 7.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds lighter than the PEAVEY. But I think the reason these guitars I really liked in the grunge scene, and by Kurt Cobain when he played one, and that they're associated with super distortions, is when you do put a bit of distortion on them, they really come alive. So on both guitars I've actually got connected kind of blues driver pedals. So on the PEAVEY it's a blues driver, on this one it's actually a screaming blues Digitech pedal, but they're very similar sounds to them, I promise. So if I click this one on, you can hear it. So this is on the neck, on the single coil. Sound. tell, that just sounds absolutely phenomenal. Let's try the bridge pickup, single coil mode. Bridge. Sorry, humbucker in the bridge. Sorry if I've blown your eardrums, but yeah, it is just lovely to play. I really enjoy playing it when it's got some distortion on it. I'll turn that off now. But it goes to show you don't need a pickup to have a crazy distinct sound in order for it to work with your setup. Which brings me to the PEAVEY, because the PEAVEY is literally the opposite. The pickups are just so punchy on it that you almost don't need a pedal on it. At least in a lot of situations, I don't imagine you do. It's exactly the same controls. The only difference is the phase switch is over here. So that's in and out of phase there. If I try just the neck pickup first, so that's this three-way here towards me. It's in single coil at the moment. That's the one thing about, so the other guitar, the CS350, has a little clicking action when you go to the middle, when you change to humbucker, so you can feel where to stop. With these knobs, you just have to, you have a little white marker and you have to kind of get it to around 5 on the dial, which is out of 10 as most dials are, to be a humbucker. But it doesn't tell you by touch, if that makes sense. So often I go too far. This is the humbucker. Single coil. Humbucker. To about 5. The one thing I will say is this bridge is still very driven. It kind of still sounds like a neck pickup. You wouldn't really want to do twangy punch on it. It just wouldn't work. Guitar's just not designed for that. You're soloing whatever pickup you're on with this guitar. And then if I go all the way to the left, again I get that soft tone switch. In the middle. So this is the middle, both on single coil. Both on humbucker. Single coil, one on humbucker, one with a tone rolled off, one, you know, you can have any combination you want. The options are really kind of endless. Neck pickup, again, same thing. So yeah, it's just got everything to it. I will say though, if you have a normal like 2 split coil switches, in a way you have more tonal options because you can split a coil, not split a coil. So you can be on the neck and you can have the tone rolled off on a single coil sound or on a humbucker sound. Whereas on this guitar, you kind of only have one tone rolled off sound. It doesn't distinguish itself as a humbucker or a single coil. In fact, I'm not really sure what it is when you turn it all the way to the left. I imagine it's still a humbucker. 30%, which a lot of guitarists like to do on a guitar. I'd say with both these guitars though, it's not really designed for that. It's not designed for subtle playing. They're both very kind of beefy, in-your-face guitars. So that's just what it is. Let's try with distortion. And I mean, this guitar is nuts with distortion. Let's try neck pickups, single coil. Bridge pickup, single coil. It's kind of starting to play the darkness there, but I don't know the rest of the riff. So fun. Middle position, both single coil. Out of phase. I really like that. I mean, it's a bit heavy for me. If I'm honest, I play a guitar like this, and it's like mini orgasms as I'm playing the guitar. But I'm like, am I actually going to play a gig where I play like this with this much distortion? Personally, probably not. I'm a singer-songwriter. I play kind of low-key, folky songs, so not really. But then again, if I'm just at home, no one's around, got 20 minutes, I can get my kicks playing this, definitely. Right, thank you so much. Oh, I think these are both amazing guitars. You can't go wrong with either. I think the circuitry on them is just really interesting, makes you play in a different way. I think I wanted to compare them just to show you how even with something very similar in terms of the circuitry, even how unique it is on both guitars, you get very different sounds out of both. And a lot of the times, you'll buy a guitar like this, and you might pick it up, and you might not particularly like the kind of stratty pickups. You might be like, oh, I wanted something more distorted, I wanted to grunge out. And it's only when you combine it with your own pedals, your own setup, that you actually get the sound out of it that you want. So I think a lot of people pick up guitars and they get obsessed with, you know, has it got this radius to the neck, is it going to work in this situation, does the pickup sound perfect straight out of the box. Often with guitars, especially ones that are definitely well built, you have to give them a bit of work, do a bit of fine tuning, find the sound that works for you out of them. And there's also a factor that some guitars, you know, are designed to do a particular sound. This PEAVEY is definitely designed to do hard rock. You can't really play folky things on this guitar. It just doesn't have that sound. I mean, you can get the pedals that will make that sound happen. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen. You can turn everything down and do it, and it will still create a nice tone because the action of it on it is good, the build quality on it is good, but you're fighting against its own nature. So you really need to explore guitar a bit to find out the sound that works for it and works for you. So thanks, hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Peace.